What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome into episode number 380 of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA, number 11 Philadelphia ranked, and of course viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. KB, DJ, and Hoots back at it again. Not with the white vans, but you know what's going on. We got a fun one planned for you. We're going to recap everything that happened in Philly. We're going to recap the live show a little bit. That will be up in the next week or so, just doing all the editing process and making sure that it's crystal clear because we had some fun guests kick off the start of that one, Deej. And then we will get into everything that's going to go down this weekend in Baltimore, give you our picks of the week, and send you off into the only Saturday, Sunday weekend of the season. But before we get into everything, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at OTB LaxPod across the board. We're on every social platform. Follow Hoots at Hoots Sports Media. Follow DJ SCS_next great. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the pod, subscribe to the pod, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave us a 5-star review. It goes a long way for helping this show continue to grow. Plus, it helps more people find all of the shows on our network. We've had a few new subscribers trickle in since our JB34 interview, and since we've just been popping off collecting the photography Avengers since our boy Miles has popped out and collected every single person under the sun damn near for us. We've gotten a lot of new subscribers, which has been awesome. So welcome to Outside the Box if you are new. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. That's where you get full video episodes of this show every week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. It's all on our YouTube channel. We are currently at 1,077 subscribers, which means we're 23 away from our next subscriber milestone. So smash that like button, ring the bell icon, and drop a comment in the comment section with anything that comes to mind throughout this episode. And we are currently 44 subscribers away from hitting 100 subscribers on the OTB YouTube channel, which means you're 44 subscribers away from the Outside the Box podcast college show happening next season with Hoots and Deej. So be sure to subscribe to that channel because that's also where OTB Live Philly 2025 will air first. So go subscribe over there as well, youtube.com/@OTB LaxPod. And guys, this show is presented by our good friends at Rita's in Sewell, New Jersey. Guys, we love Rita's. We love the Backage family. Our boy Joey, who works for the PLL, got us set up with his parents to bring Rita's into the fold. And Rita's, Deej, you were talking about it's been ungodly hot the past couple of days. Some weird humidity. I'm dealing with a nasty thunderstorm that the pre-storm looked like the Mind Flayer from Stranger Things was up in the air. You need to cool down in times like this, and there's no better place to go than our friends at Rita's Italian Ice and Custard, located at 288 Egg Harbor Road in Sewell, New Jersey. Guys, they've got the best Italian ice. My go-to favorite is the gelati, which is the custard on the bottom, the Italian ice in the middle, custard on top. It's absolutely delicious. They've got the concretes, the blendinis, all of their delicious treats will help cool you down during these summer months. Visit our friends at Rita's in Sewell, 288 Egg Harbor Road, or go to ritasice.com. Check out their entire menu of delicious treats and see all the nutritional facts as well for all of those treats. And we thank Rita's in Sewell for being the presenting partner of the Outside the Box podcast. What's poppin', boys? It's another week in the books. We'll recap Philly, but guys, first things first. We have Plane Chronicles. We need to get a graphic made. Plane Chronicles with Deej, because golly, was this just the Plane Chronicles chapter? We might have to do, how our good friend and friend of the program, Joe Keegan wrote the PLL Island book. Deej, we might have to have you write a coffee table book just detailing all of your plane chronicles.
I mean, at this point, like, I think people would actually buy it and read it, and it would like keep people from either A, making the same choices / mistakes I've made, or B, just completely refraining from flying altogether because I have true horror stories.
So yeah, let's kick the episode off with Plane Chronicles Philadelphia 2025, June 2025, because I don't know, outside of maybe your trip to Salt Lake, which I think more so was you just hated Utah than anything else, this may have been your worst arrival to departure plane experience since I've known you.
Oh, by far. This was nasty work. Oh my God. Okay, so it started, I guess Friday is where we have to start this. Getting on the plane from Detroit to Philly. Not a big deal. Normal flight I've taken. It was fine. I was sitting in the middle seat, so I was like, all right, this is great already. Zero leg room. Not a super tall guy, but a long guy. So need leg room. Didn't have it. Not the biggest deal. Not the first time I sat in the middle seat. We're going through the flight, and we probably get about 20-25 minutes out, and the captain's like, yeah, flight attendants prepare the cabin for landing, and this is the weather and like all this stuff. And dude next to me, older Indian guy, taps me and goes, brother, they don't serve anything? No drinks, no snacks? And I'm like, hey, bro, I know just as much as you do. I'm thinking the same thing you are. He's like, I've never been on any flight where they don't serve anything. This is preposterous. I was like, yeah, man.
Like, you should have been like, we ain't in first class, brother.
Like, I don't know what you want me to say, big dog. I don't know what you want me to say. So like, finally a flight attendant walks by and he goes, excuse me, Coke? Whoa! And she's like, oh, you want Coca-Cola? He's like, yeah. She's like, okay, hold on. And he's like, how much it cost? And she's like, oh, no, it's free. Don't worry about it. He's like, oh, all right. So he just cracks it open. He's drinking it. I'm like, good. I'm glad he got his drink. All of that. Get there. Everything's fine, which we'll touch on the weekend in just a second. Leaving. God bless CFO Margie's soul. As she was dropping me off at the airport, we did get back probably, 11? Maybe a little later, close to midnight. Yeah. Like it was late.
Probably like 10:45, 11.
Yeah, it was late. And she was most likely tired. And she set her alarm.
Mind you, we had to wake up earlier as well because it was an earlier day, Saturday. Plus, we had to bring equipment, with us, so we had to make sure we had everything. So Saturday was much more eventful than Friday, where it was just like get in car and go vroom.
Yeah, that's literally what it was, like get in car, go vroom. So yeah, she was tired. She set her alarm for 3:45. We were set to leave at 4:15 a.m. My flight took off at 6 a.m. She set her alarm for 3:45 p.m., not 3:45 a.m. So after a little bit, I finally knocked on her door and was like, are we leaving?
I got the story. I got the story of what was going on inside the door, where my dad was like, there's somebody knocking on our door. And my mom goes, who's knocking at our door?
So we finally get around to leaving, and she's like apologizing the whole way there. I'm like, it's not a big deal. I'm sure I'm gonna have enough time. Like I everything's gonna be okay. Like I don't have to stop at the luggage desk. Like it's gonna be fine. Everything was not fine. I got there. And I've never seen a TSA line longer than this one. Yes, that was me. Like, oh, this is fine. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. And finally, it took me 45 minutes to get through the TSA line. And I got there an hour before my flight. So as everyone knows that has flown before, boarding doors close 15 minutes before the flight takes off. So as I was putting my shoes and things back on, my flight door was closing. So I missed my flight. Next available flight sent me down to Atlanta. Took off at 8 a.m. Like, all right, cool. It's not that
ATL turn up.
I'm like, not that long of a wait. Cool. Get on the flight in ATL or going down to ATL. Get there. First off, it's hot as I don't know what. Literally was only in the drawbridge. Never stepped foot outside. And I was like, good God, it's hot.
You were in Stinger country.
Don't even remind me of that guy. Don't even bring that guy up. If I would have seen him, I think I would have punched him. I was already so upset. So, and mind all of you out there, Sunday when I was flying back was my sister's gender reveal. It was from 4 to 6. I was supposed to be back home at 11. 11 a.m. was when I was supposed to make it back to Kalamazoo, Michigan, which would have given me plenty of time to make it to her gender reveal and everything. At 8 a.m., I fly down to Atlanta. Landed in Atlanta. And after I got rerouted down to Atlanta, I was supposed to make it home at 5:30. That was the new updated time, which they were going to hold and wait to do everything until I got there. Like, okay, we're still good, in the clear, whatever. Get down to Atlanta, sit through my layover and everything. Get on the plane. We're delayed for half an hour waiting on flight attendants from another plane. So that was going to make getting my flight from Detroit to Kalamazoo close. Because that took off at 4:25. We left Atlanta at 2:15. We get there, and as we're pulling up, pilot gets on. He's like, hey, we're like 15 minutes from Detroit. We're going to be landing soon. Attendants prepare the cabin for landing. He's like, there are 4 or 5 super tight connections on this flight. If you do not have one of those connections, stay seated and let those people go. I'm going to give everybody a few seconds to think about what could have possibly happened on this plane. The folks didn't sit down. They didn't stay seated. They did not let the people off. Oh, and by the way, I was sitting in seat 58D. 58. Talk about back of the bird. That was the literal back of the plane. Very last row.
My boy was so far back, he was almost in the bathroom.
He's basically the flight attendant.
The bathroom was right there. Yes, the flight attendant was right there. Dog. And I had 20 minutes to get off this plane and get to my next flight.
I would have gone out the emergency window.
Bro. I was asking all kinds of things, dog. As you guessed it, I missed that flight too.
Let me guess, bunch of white people. Let me guess.
Listen. We recording on Juneteenth. Yes, it was them pale motherfuckers.
Did they clap too?
No. That was on my flight. That also happened on my flight.
Of course it did.
It was either down to Atlanta or it was from Detroit to Philly. But it was like someone's first flight and a bunch of people got the clapping and shit. I was like, hey, shut that shit up.
I mean,
please stop.
The way some of these planes don't be landing all the time, I don't blame folks for clapping anymore.
That's fair.
That's just a celebration of life at this point.
What I do know though is I finally got to Detroit. Obviously missed that flight. 10:55 was my new timeout. This is when I knew for sure I was going to miss my sister's gender reveal. So I went through a series of emotions. I actually literally cried at the bar in Chili's, like real tears. I just was. It was not good. I had
There
like
could be worse places to cry. At least you had Chili's.
Yes, I had a triple dipper and a couple margaritas.
There we go. Wait, what is happening?
He said no free ads.
You're right.
But shout out to Chili's, no free shout outs. Now I'm just curious if he did the dente.
Yeah. And he said a couple marks. Is that 2 marks?
Couple
Is
of
that
them.
3?
Dang.
The audio-only listeners are going to be so confused.
We got a filibuster here like we're in fucking Washington, D.C. Big airline just heard DJ waxing about this and cut his whole feed.
Oh, man.
Big airline said, "Not today, buddy. Not today."
That's even funnier after what we were talking about pre-pod. Oh, my goodness. Oh.
Sorry, I had microphone issues.
Big airline heard you talking about them and said, "Not today, pal."
They got dead on one.
Hashtag build the loop. Build the loop.
Build the loop. No, but I had a couple margaritas and some Chili's, triple dipper. So yeah, that helped
Shout
the
out to
mood.
Chili's, no free shout out.
Facts. That helped the mood a little bit. And then I finally left Chili's after getting a decent buzz. And went and sat at went to my first gate, sat there, looked at the screen and went, "Oh, we're not flying out of this gate? Cool." Walked to that gate, looked at the screen. "Oh, we're not flying out of this gate either? Cool." Walked to the next gate. "Oh, okay, we're actually flying out of this one."
Third time's a charm.
Yeah, so, and then at this point, I'm also walking with like 3 other people who are like, "You going to Kalamazoo too?" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "They keep moving." I'm like, this is getting annoying. So we're sitting at the gate and we look up and somebody said, "Is that fucking real?" And I look at the screen. What was that time I said was departure from this Detroit to Kalamazoo flight, if you remember?
10:55?
10:55. I looked at the screen. Delayed. 12:58 p.m. We got delayed 2 hours. I said, went from getting home at 11 a.m. to getting home at 11 p.m. to, 2 a.m. This can't get worse, right?
Wrong.
So finally get on the flight, finally get home, back to Kalamazoo, that is. When we land, I'm one of those people that as soon as wheels touch ground, I flip my airplane mode off. We're not in the air anymore. I want my service back. So I order an Uber. I'm like, okay, by the time we get to the gate, everybody gets off, all that stuff. Because I only do carry-ons and personal items, so I don't have to go to the luggage carousel. I was like, they should be here or be pulling up. Go through all that, get down there. They're like, "Sorry to inform you, all the Ubers in your area are busy. Please try again later." I'm like, cool. Send out a few texts. Don't get anything back in 5 minutes. Look up the directions just to peek how long the walk should be. 35 minutes. I was like, bet. Made it home in 23. And I stopped and got a guy something from the store that he needed because he couldn't go in himself. So that was my good deed of the night, even though I was in pure turmoil after having to walk home from the airport at 2 a.m. But you know what? Philly weekend was still fun.
That it was. And I got to say, when you kept giving me those updates, I said, my boy should have just stayed the whole time.
Dog, at one point I literally went, I shouldn't have even came. I literally said, I was like, I just should have stayed home. I just shouldn't even came. This was too tight of a weekend. I knew it was too tight of a weekend. I shouldn't have done this. But then,
I was just saying, at one point it was like, you should have just stayed here and flew out the next day, because that's when you ended up getting home anyway.
I mean, yeah. I should have just I was like, hey, wait, in Philly, I should have went, you know what? When's the next flight from here to Detroit? Tomorrow morning? Give me that. Give me that. I'm gonna call my ride. You give me that though. I'll be back tomorrow.
Oh man, my
It's
mom's
okay,
gonna
y'all.
listen to this and be like, in shambles.
Everything's okay. I'm not upset.
Made it home safely.
Everything worked out. I made it home safely. I had time to clear my mind on that 23-minute walk home. Like, I cried, which I hadn't done in a while. Like, this is very good for me emotionally.
Hey, it's mental health month. It's okay to cry.
Big facts. Not only that, you gave me a reason to apply for TSA pre-check. I was walking
irony
through
of that after Jacob, my intern here at Underground, our content intern Jacob, we're in the press box and he's talking about, nah, bro, you got to sign up for TSA pre-check. And DJ's like, yeah, well, half the time, because everyone has pre-check, the non-pre-check line is faster. That's what you knew you were doomed.
Yeah, I did that to myself.
You angered the TSA guys.
They said, hey, he talking shit. Say less. We got something for him.
They tapped in and said, oh, we got a live one. He doesn't have pre-check.
Hey, y'all. He said, he don't think a bunch of people flying out because it's Father's Day. Let's show him a little something.
That means next time we need to get a vlog. Next time you're on a plane, we need to see the start to finish.
I mean, at this point, I'll give it to you because it'll be pure comedy. People would probably watch that.
Chili's, if you would like to sponsor DJ's airport vlogs, please slide in our DMs.
I guarantee that I will eat at a Chili's every time it's in an airport I'm in.
Okay, while we're on the subject, before we move to Philly Weekend, no free ads. Can we get our top 3 Chili's appetizers around the board?
The Mott Sticks. More importantly, either the Honey Chipotle or Nashville Hot. Gotta go with the Southwest Egg Rolls. And the third's really hell no, them chips and salsa.
I was gonna say chips and salsa is the only thing I do.
Chips and salsa be hidden, bro. Hits. Can't even cap.
Yeah. The Southwest Egg Rolls are truly one of the greatest appetizers across restaurant lore anywhere. Like there's not many things that come close to the Southwest Egg Roll.
Elite. You don't eat the Southwest Egg Rolls, food?
No, chips and salsa is just that's it. That's all I need.
Hoots craves the bottomless chips and salsa.
Dude, when I tell you, I will go get there, eat it, right? Get a refill while I'm there. As I'm leaving, they're like, anything else for you? I'm like, yeah, I need more chips and salsa to go, please. And they will package that thing up for you, and then I will eat it the next day. And you can warm the chips up. It is immaculate.
I will say, too, like, it's a basic thing, but chili sliders do hit. Like, when you walk in there, there's something about those sliders that, like, it's just meant to be.
The burger bites are a hit. Bites are a hit. It's just not consistently.
Chili's.
I can't have them consistently.
Well, you better get ready.
Yeah, it's like
vlogs.
That's like one of the main things that, like, when you haven't been to Chili's for a while, you got to get those. Like the Southwest Egg Rolls are the staple appetizer, but sometimes you just need a little like balance, and then you get those those sliders. Whew. We just did a whole ad for Chili's without them sponsoring us. So Chili's, please slide in our DMs.
Please.
We will have Deej grab the dente, if you will. But let's wrap up Philly weekend. Our wrap-ups are brought to you by our friends over at Buff. Guys, Survivor, we love it here. And the official headwear, bodywear, everything wear of Survivor is our friends at Buff. It'll keep you protected from the sun, the wind, and when it gets colder, the cold weather as well. I'll tell you right now, the way the sun's been beaten down, and when I'm looking at my weather app right now, I'm gonna need that built-in sunscreen bug protecting buff ASAP, Deej, because I was looking at next week. Hoots, you're living the dream right now, but man, next week here, it's gonna be hitting the hundos consistently, and I'm not ready for it. Not ready for it at all, but you got to protect yourself. Our friends at Buff are making sure you are protected all summer long. Use our link in the description. Shop with Buff. Make sure you're protected from all of the elements. And we thank Buff for being a proud partner of the podcast. Philly weekend has come and gone. It is truly a staple weekend on the PLL calendar. It was electric pretty much the entire weekend once again. Deej, on your way here, you ran into follower of the pod, future guest of the pod, Denver Outlaws, future all-star, two-time Jake Pacino in the airport.
I forgot about that.
And
that was the one good thing that happened on this.
You ran into Jake Pacino.
And he got sent to Detroit because he wasn't trying to sit around all day because the only direct flight was at like 6 a.m. And I'm like, dog. Because I literally went up to him, I was like, you coming from the West Coast? He's like, nah, bro. Like, East Coast. I got bounced over here because time and all this stuff. So we were just chitting and chatting and talking. And he kind of was along the lines we were when it came to the outlook of the season.
Yeah, he agreed with our take that Carolina weekend was going to be like an early pinpoint in the season that changed a lot of things for teams, players, etc. Deej, we were talking in the press box. And this was on Friday night. We said if things carry over into Saturday, which they absolutely did, Philly was going to be one of those weekends as well. We've had back-to-back electric weekends where all four games were just absolute cinema, start to finish. Philly delivered. And before we even get into the games, we know Carolina has become a spot where the fans pop out. The Red Legion does their thing, and they are an institution for fandom. I got to say, as somebody who is a Philly sports fan, diehard through and through, and somebody who's grown up going to Philly sports games across the board, and who has seen Philly weekends for the PLL in different venues and comparing it to last year, Friday night in particular, and then even in the rain on Saturday afternoon, and then the night game, it grew even more. I gotta say, it brought a lot of passion and a lot of just heartfelt amazement and like hell yeah vibes. The crowd in Philly was incredible. Hoots, I don't know how it looked on TV, but the way that it was in the stadium, especially on Friday as we're looking out during that night game when there's no emotional attachment really unless you know players or coaches on either of the teams. There's no Philly team playing. Friday night was packed to the gills, and it was awesome to see. And I was just so proud to see Philly weekend with the fans in particular just pop out. Philly's a lacrosse town. We know that through and through. And genuinely, I'd be interested to see what the attendance was last year and the percent increase, because I guarantee there's a massive increase from what last year was to this year. And shout out to the fans. They popped out. It was truly an awesome thing to see. And the Water Dogs get their first win in Philadelphia since winning the championship in 2022. We'll start there with the Dogs getting the dub against the Cannons. First win against the Cannons in 3 games, if you include Champ Series. And I mean, Deej, we were talking about it in the press box as the game kind of progressed. the Water Dogs were just the better team on Friday. Friday night, overall, like start to finish, each level of the game, the Water Dogs just outclassed the Cannons in a multitude of ways. And for the Water Dogs to have multiple 5-goal or 5-score quarters in this one against the Cannons defense that's been playing relatively well, against Colin Kirst, who's been playing very, very well to start the season, I was super impressed. And in both games, even though the Water Dogs lost game 2, one, Michael Sowers is on pace to shatter Jeff Teet's assist record that he set last year. And 2, I was glad he was in that press conference because, my goodness, is Thomas McConvey playing with a new lease on life. And I was like, I found it very cool that Bill Tierney checked in during the response to, I think it was my question, right, Deej, when Bill chimed in about Thomas saying he could have left in free agency, and he called him and said, I was asking Thomas what it's like being back out on the field with the guys and everything after, a lot of inconsistency with injury last year. And Bill Tierney is just saying that Thomas McConvey could have left in free agency. He didn't hit the 30% threshold, I don't think, or he, was just a free agent. His contract was up, and he talked to him on the phone during the offseason, and McConvey told him, he was like, listen, coach, I want to be a Water Dog. And I think it was really cool seeing the passion that Bill Tierney had for representing Philadelphia this past weekend too. He brought it up a ton, being he was proud of Philadelphia, proud of the city, proud of the fans. I was like, this is we've said it since I've met with Bill Tierney at the draft. This feels like a new Bill Tierney. Deej, you saw it for the first time this past weekend. He just seems so much happier than he did last year. And it's so fun seeing a happy Bill Tierney.
Happy Bill is fun Bill. Happy Bill is fun Bill. He was having a great time this entire weekend. Even Saturday after the loss, he was joyous. And
he had some zingers.
Yeah, he was great this weekend. And he's just been great all year. His energy this year has been much better, and it's flowing through the team as well. They're playing at a high rate. I think they fed off the crowd Friday evening, but also just fed off of each other and how excited they are to be back playing and back near the top of the conference, back near the top of the league, and just having success again. I think last year it was such a one-off that it's such motivation for them to prove everybody that it was simply just a one-off, and this team hasn't completely fallen off anywhere. But Thomas McConvey, I mean, the dude's just next level right now. I mean, I think it really goes back to the winter. He played very solid lacrosse for the Nighthawks this year alongside Connor Fields. So he's kind of just brought that energy into this summer and has continued to play good ball.
And Hoots, I tweeted it during that game, and I brought it up to Deej. I said, comeback player of the year is an award that doesn't exist yet in PLL end of year awards, which I feel like we have to push to make that a thing, because I feel like it's a weird award to not exist. But we're gonna come up with some OTB end of year awards as well that aren't just your MVP and everything. The first category, and Thomas McConvey right now is the front runner, because he's not, I wouldn't classify him as a comeback player. He's not truly coming back like Jack Keelty or a couple years ago Joe Nardella from a tragic, devastating injury. Thomas McConvey was banged up. The recovery process was not what he thought it was going to be. He did play last year. It's not like he missed last year. So we are going to install the first end of year OTB award that Thomas McConvey is currently the front runner to win. And it's the Resurgent Player of the Year award, because my boy is like a phoenix rising from the ashes, and the way that he's fitting in this Dylan Sheridan offense right now, and just the seamlessness that he has playing with Michael Sowers, and just he's like a wide receiver out there catching passes from him and scoring damn near every time the ball's in his stick. He's been so much fun to watch. And I think this goes back to when we watched the Water Dogs against the Whip Snakes, it carried over to that game against the Cannons where Sowers doesn't have to be the everything guy like he was last year. Like we've said it time and time again. Last year, the offense was Michael Sowers, Kieran McCardle, or the offense died. Now it's Michael Sowers, pass the ball, and Jesse Bernhardt brought this up. He was like, if you watch the first couple games, number one thing that you should pinpoint is you can't let Michael Sowers pass the ball to somebody else because they're going to score. And Michael Sowers has just been QB1 out there and just chucking the ball around, letting everyone get involved in the offense, whether it's Kieran, Jake Taylor, McConvey, Jack Hanna, Zach Courier. Like his vision right now is like unmatched. And I think that's a huge part of why the Water Dogs are having success. And I don't think the Cannons were ready for it. Like their defense got dummied by the quickness of the Water Dogs offense. And it's not that the Cannons looked bad overall. It was just the Water Dogs were that much better and that much more prepared for what the Cannons were throwing at them.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy that Michael Sowers doesn't really have to like do much. He's just like out there and just like it all just still works. And I do wonder like how much of the box season like helped him with that, because you can tell he's just like I can pass to anybody that's going in. And I think it's a good problem that the Water Dogs have so many guys that can rotate in if they wanted to. So like to see a guy like Thomas McConvey get run and play well, game over game, it's fun to see. And even in a game like this where like they didn't get the best goalie play, like they looked unstoppable. And this is largely the same team as last year. So I think it just goes to show that like last year wasn't like it almost means nothing because it was like such a one-off, like you said.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it was the box game or if there was a change in mentality. I think just knowing, because like I kind of, even looking back at his days at Princeton or Duke, he wasn't like he's always been a great passer. He's always been somebody who can pass the ball and will pass the ball. But it seems like he was always a go to the cage first person. Like, hey, I'm going to score first every time, which don't get me wrong. That's how you should dodge. You should dodge to score every single time. But there was almost like a shoot first, pass second mindset. And it seems like this year he's completely flipped that, and it's pass first, and I'll score as they start to take my passing abilities away, which I think completely revolutionizes not only this offense, but just his play as well. I think it opens up so much more when you're considered more dangerous as a passer than you are as a scorer, because then people start to sag off you a little bit, overplay your pass. They're playing really tight on everyone else, which means you're not getting there. That defender is getting no help. You're in a one-on-one situation on an island almost all the time. He's picking and choosing, I think, his decisions to go to the cage and shoot a lot more than he had been in the past. And it's really opened up the offense.
Yeah, and I think it's just given him an opportunity to play a little bit more free. Like he's not forcing the issue of like, I have to go to the rack. I have to score because nobody else is going to. And I think that's given him just the leeway to be like, oh, I can be a little more free flowing and a little more just off the cuff with what I do and a little more creative when the ball is in my stick. But the way that's coupled with the way his vision is right now, it feels like he's just like, we said it last week. It's like he's a Doctor Strange, seeing all the permutations all at once. Like he's just seeing who's open, finding the most open guy. And it's almost like he's passing to whoever he thinks is going to have the best shot, not the first shot. And I think that's where we've seen a lot of the success. We've seen a lot of the quickness in the Water Dogs offense, and that's been a benefit for them through their first couple games of the season. And I mean, the Cannons, like we said, they didn't have a poor game. They played relatively well. They kept it close. But at the end of the day, like the Water Dogs were up 5-2 at the end of the first. The Cannons answered with 5 in the second, but it was 8-7 going into halftime. And then the Water Dogs came out with another, like the third quarter has been phenomenal for them. 2 out of 3 games, really, where they've scored a shit ton of goals and the opposing team's been held to 1 or none. And I think that's got to be a credit to just this young defense, these young pups, if you will. Marcus Hudgens, Deej, we said it in Philly last year. He had one of the best under-the-radar debuts of a defenseman in the PLL. He's taken his game to a whole new level, and it just looks like a clear-cut, like, superstar defensively. You pair that with what Kenny Brower's been able to do, who we had our questions on whether or not Kenny was going to be ready to go full speed, missed all of last year with an injury. Bill Tierney's basically said, he's basically a rookie. I do want to get classification on that from somebody to see like how that works, like if it's like the NBA or if it's like the NFL, one way or the other. But first year playing for Kenny Brower, and he fits the role perfectly. He's been an eraser of his assignment every single game. It's been unbelievable to watch from a guy who has now only got 3 PLL games under his belt. And then you couple that with Ben Randall, who was an all-star last year and one of the few bright spots in a down year for the Water Dogs. And they're doing this without a bunch of their guys. Like their defensive captain, Liam Burns, is still out with injury from the NLL season. Christian Scarpello is still bouncing back and recovering from an injury he sustained in the offseason training, and he was coaching. I saw he was working out. Also, happy birthday to Christian. He celebrated a birthday this week. Shout out to the boy. Like they're playing still without their full accoutrement of defensive players, and the young guys are just stepping up. Jimmy Freehill has been phenomenal to start the year. Ben Weyer has been phenomenal and has looked every bit of the LSM part. I know I probably just cut out there, so I don't know how much of that you got. We're dealing with shoddy Wi-Fi because of these fucking storms here, everyone. Ben Weyer, I still am stunned he fell to 23. I know he had a down season last year at UVA, but he has looked every bit of the part of a PLL LSM so far, and playing on the wing has made Stathakis look that much better. And I think he's just more comfortable when he knows he's got guys on the wing that are going to go out and get ground balls for him. I love the way that the Dogs have been playing, and Bill Tierney joking after the game saying he's just got to win one more of 8 and maybe he'll be able to keep his job, which is hilarious. This is a great win. And I think this is almost like a weight off the shoulders type win because it's been so long since the Water Dogs have beat the Cannons. That's a rival. These two teams hate each other. We were shocked that there was no extracurriculars during this game, Deej, when we were in the press box, because we know how much these two teams hate each other. And I mean, it's a testament to the defense, too, in this game that while Dylan Ward played relatively like decent, he didn't have his best game, but the defense in front of him played so well that it made Dylan Ward look that much better in the grand scheme of the entirety of the game, and really stepped up to help him. So this is a great win for the Water Dogs, to start their season and getting a win at home for the first time, because they were swept in their homecoming last year. So that's a huge thing too, to win in front of your fans, give them a little bit of, fan currency there, and being like, hey, we can win at home. We can win in front of you. I think that's a good step for them, and a good in-conference win for the Water Dogs. And then the nightcap happened, Deej. I know it wasn't the result that you wanted, but talk about, pound for pound, just an incredible lacrosse game. That Archers Redwoods game had damn near everything the neutral fan could have asked for. We had intern Jacob up in the press box with us. He looked like a feral dog up there, just watching this game go back and forth, seeing the fights, the goals, the defense, the transition game. It was tense. Like, I was watching that game just like on the edge of my seat because every moment mattered. And I do want to start things off. He confirmed it on his Instagram this week. Chris Merle's out for the season with an ACL tear. Our best wishes to Chris, and a speedy and healthy and successful recovery. That's a bummer. And to the Redwoods' credit, for a majority of that game, they didn't skip a beat. Chris Merle goes down early. You can see a team kind of lose a step. They can lose a little bit because they're down one of their players. That's an emotional thing. The Redwoods did not skip a beat that entire game and had damn near every opportunity to walk away with a win. And I think that's a testament to coaching. Anthony Kelly is a grinder. Bachlet's a grinder. Collins is a grinder. Those guys are very next man up mentality, go out, do your job, know your role type guys. And I think that's a testament to the culture they're trying to instill in this Redwoods locker room is even if we lose a guy, we're still going to go out there and give it 110% and make sure we do everything we possibly can to try to come away with a win. And even if we don't, we know we left it all out there.
Yeah. So first, I would like to apologize to the Redwoods and all Redwoods fans. I 1,000% feel like it's my fault because the minute I show up to a game this year, they lose. We also are going to blame Hoots because he decided to say we were going to go 4-0 this week, and then we proceeded to go 0-4 this week.
Maybe you should cheer louder next time.
Oh, trust me. I was doing everything I could to cheer as loud as humanly possible inside of the press box without being a fan. Not easy, by the way. But I did my part. But other than that, this game was absolutely fantastic. Like you said, it had everything that a casual or just a lacrosse fan would want. It had the grit, it had the fight, it had the high energy moments, it had the sweet goals, it had the big hits, it had the gritty ground balls, it had the great saves, it had the great coaching moments, it had literally every aspect of lacrosse wrapped up into one fantastic game. And the good thing was rookies were showing out on both sides. Veterans were still there doing their thing on both sides. The middle of the field was almost even. It literally was as about as even of a game as we've gotten this year. And we've seen other 1-goal games, but I don't think they were as even as this game was. Either one of these teams could have been the team that lost by one. And it was one of those games where it was hey, the last team that grabs momentum, the last team to score is going to be a team that wins. It was one of those games from the very beginning. You could tell it was going to be a blockbuster game, arguably game of the year up to this point, simply because there just hasn't been anything that has been so tight in terms of evenness, truly and it wasn't a sloppy evenness, because I think we've seen that too, where teams have been sloppy on both sides and has been even. This was a crisp game where both teams were firing and it was even. And it just so happened that the Archers came out in front. I mean, when you got guys like Connor Fields, Mac O'Keefe finally waking up a little bit, Sam King has played great, Tom Schreiber did his thing, they're going to win games. But I think the Redwoods are in an amazing spot, competing with that team like that, taking them to the brink, controlling a large portion of that game, almost winning that game. Not only tells yourself where you are, but it tells everybody else in the league where you are as a team. I think I saw a stat about 4-goal runs.
Can I just say this is my new favorite stat?
Dude, those stats that guy is putting out are fantastic. I love those stats.
I think he's Joe Keegan's intern.
Which is, Joe, you've done a fantastic job. You need to go be a scout, Joe. You had scouted you some talent, clearly. But through weeks 1 through 3, the Redwoods are allowing, I think, just under 1 4-goal run a game, while averaging almost 3 4-goal runs a game.
Yeah.
If you would have told me that before the season, I'd look at you like you were stupid. I don't know the last time the Redwoods have been having 4-goal runs while not giving up 4-goal runs in the same game. Their team,
they're just shy of 1.75 on the create and prevent runs, going across horizontally on the graph, and then they're allowing less than 1 goal in the this is my new shout out to Patrick McKeever. It's a stat that he's derived, and the idea is from Dukes, so also shout out to Dukes. It's called Kill Shots. It is truly the coolest stat ever, and I hope this becomes an official PLL stat because it genuinely it shows when lacrosse is a game of runs, you need a stat that shows the game of runs, and this kill shot stat does just that. And Deej, we've seen it from the two teams who were the worst in the league last year are having the most success in going on runs and preventing the other team from going on said runs. And that's why you're seeing the Water Dogs and Redwoods at the top of their respective conferences right now.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just pure success. Those teams going out and believing in themselves and going out and getting what they need to be successful. And they've turned it completely around. A lot of it has to do with coaching on both sides. The Water Dogs simply just getting that year under their belt and really settling into their roles and adjusting to the nuances of the PLL versus the opposite side. It's a new group of guys coming in and learning exactly what the PLL is, and they're running with it full strength, kind of just going, hey, you beat challenges by putting your head down and grinding through them. And that's exactly what you're seeing with the Redwoods.
And shout out to Chase Erlin as well.
Yeah, I am happily wrong about him.
Chase had another fantastic game against that offense, which is no tall task. And I mean, like you said, Deej, that game literally came down to just like final possession, final burst of momentum, and it had everything you could have asked for. It had moments of like mind-blowing type shots. It had debuts that were off the charts. Sam Hanley had a phenomenal debut for the Redwoods. He shit-talked his former Penn teammate Piper Bond right in his face. The Archer short stick D-Midi unit might be the greatest cast of shit-talkers we've ever seen. And this is a matchup that I hope just elevates and escalates to like bad blood feud Western Conference rivalry, because if we get more of those type matchups for these two teams against each other, that's must see PLL TV right there.
Well, you have to imagine it's going to continue. We know for the next couple of years, Ryder, Sam English, Chris Cav, McAdory, and most likely Charlie Bertrand are going to be there. Those 5 to 6 guys right there, all the attitude in the world when it comes to the Redwoods, and they're getting in anyone's face at any time.
And that doesn't even include like the leadership and captain role that Brian Tevlin has.
Exactly. And we know JC is all about all the action as well. Like the guys that are in the Redwoods locker room are all about having that emotion during the game because they understand how it fuels into the game and the importance of having that and playing with it. And then the Archers are just nutcases. Like everybody who wants beef on that team is just a nuthead. Like they're just all about just
in the best and funniest way possible.
Yes, like not in like that dude's a total dick. Like no, like just like they're just when they throw on a helmet, they're ready to bang bodies for 2 hours and then go home and act like it didn't happen.
Like Piper Bond and Connor Marr look like the most innocent humans ever. They get out on a lacrosse field and that white sock black cleat combo kicks in like no other.
Which is a
those dudes are
combo.
Ready to just throw hands. It's so goddamn funny because they're the most innocent looking dudes, and then they get out on the field, and it's like, who the fuck are these guys? We obviously love Piper and Connor, but it's like, holy shit, they like flip a switch that they just become like absolute like. DJ, I almost want to like because you know how Chris Bates referred to that short stick room as the young pups when they were rookies and everything. Them with Bo Pedersen, like they're like the hyenas from The Lion King. They're out there just cackling and causing a ruckus out there.
That's hilarious. I mean, but they are like they just run around and terrorize people.
Literally.
But that's what makes them so good is they just go out and handle business and you have to put up with it. And they're going to tell you about it while they're doing it and you have to put up with it or you have to find a way to shut them up. I think Sam Hanley in that midfield did a great job of responding to that energy, bouncing back with some goals, getting back in their face and going, hey, two can play that game and we're going to see who's going to come out on top.
Friday also brought two very controversial and like got the lacrosse internet talking type hits. First game obviously was very early on, Tucci laying into Sowers. And then in the night game we had the Graham Hosick swing and a miss on Chris Cav's head. Wanted to just get the opinions out there because watching them both in slow-mo and kind of seeing how it all actually like unfolds for each of those hits, like something can look totally different, fast paced, you don't really see it all, but when you see like the actual aftermath of what happened, like both of those were very, very like you cringe quite a bit because you're just feeling for the guy who's the victim there. Hoots, I'll start with you. We'll start with that Graham Hosick swing and a miss. I don't know what the verdict will be. I guess we'll see when the lineups are out, but we haven't heard anything yet, so I'm assuming Graham Hosick's not going to be suspended, but luckily Chris Cav was able to duck out of the way because that could have been pretty bad.
Yeah, if you're asking if he should be suspended, my answer is absolutely not. Just because I don't think that Graham Hosick was trying to actively hit him in the head. And I can, if he's going to be suspended, like I will hear arguments for that and like listen to them, but I'm not one of those people that's like something bad happened, you have to hand out a suspension. Like he was penalized for it, like move on. Like and someone like Graham, like he's an incredible defender, but he's like a nice dude. He's not like some dude that's trying to like be an enforcer, like and hurt people out there. So I think it's fine that he got penalized and he should be playing this weekend.
It's a tough call. What I'll say is it was preventable. And I think that is where they might be trying to draw the line with the suspension. I think if he does get suspended, it'll be a game. I don't think it'll be very long, but I think it might be a line thing where it's like you clearly followed through on something you didn't need to follow through on. Let's nip this in the bud with everybody. If you're going to do shit like this, you're going to get a game or so. This is just kind of like an example kind of thing. Like, hey, if we do it now, it sets the standard. Everybody knows what's happening. Because like when you look at the replay, especially the slow-mo, you can see that like he wound up and when he went for the check, Chris was already falling. So it's like, I get, especially being a defender and a depot, it's a lot of momentum and everything. I get you're already coming forward, but you can easily slow it down, let up, completely stop because you see that he's falling. But in retrospect, it was a ground ball already. So he was already checking downward toward the stick to then play the ground ball. So I get how all of these things happen. I would be okay with him not getting suspended, but I could see how things could come out with a 1-game suspension due to just kind of set the standard across the league for these kinds of plays.
Yeah, and I know it's a weird fine line too with a league like the PLL with suspensions, because if a guy gets suspended, it's going to be without pay because they're not on the 19-man roster. So then you have to factor in, that guy's losing out on a game day check where there's only 10 of those during the regular season. So it is such a weird like balancing act. I'd be stunned, especially since we haven't heard anything this week about it if he's suspended. Like you said, Hoots, he got penalized during the game. I know Anthony Kelly was not thrilled with the officiating in the game, rightfully so. There were moments where some things in that game could have gone another way if things were called or, I think explained in a little more detail to the Redwoods coaching staff for how things were being called. But nonetheless, dangerous play. And I think you said it, Deej. Graham he's a veteran. He kind of knows better and knows his body more than most defenders too. That if he wanted to slow up, he could have. And then on the earlier game too, Tucci's hit on Sowers. My big gripe is Tucci got penalized, rightfully so. Tucci just flat out saying that the call was bullshit. Like, brother, you led with your head. I don't know what you're complaining about. The fact that he said that and it was caught on the mic is kind of crazy. You just can't do that. You can't do that. Guys in college football get thrown out of games for doing that. It's a contact sport, sure, but when you're leading with your head like that, there's no place for that. I was happy he got the penalty. You just got to be better than that. Like you can't do stupid shit like that. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Honestly, the stupid prize for that one should be a suspension, in my opinion, because there was no reason for him to even touch him.
Right.
If like Sowers was just going to set a pick, if you want to bump him off the pick, like whatever you want to do, fine. But why are you launching at his head? Like you said, in football, that's targeting. In college football, you're out of there. So I'm not really sure why he even tried to do that. And then to argue the call is just like, we all saw it in real time and slow-mo. So like, that's the only one this weekend to me that's like suspension worthy. I don't think he'll get it because obviously, like you said, we would have already heard about it probably, but it was just uncalled for.
Yeah, like I don't mind if you want to go shoulder to shoulder with a guy and disrupt the pick, whatever it may be, but there was no need for the leading with the head.
You got to remember, face-off guys don't commit penalties and they're never early.
That's true.
So obviously he argued it and said it was bullshit.
Well, of course he argued it too. Like Tucci went out there the week before without proper equipment on, so
homie doesn't think the rules apply to him.
No,
I don't know what.
No thoughts, just vibes going on in that head of Zach Tucci.
But I understand the blowing the pickup and getting through and kind of disrupting the play, and there's just a way to do it.
Yeah, there's a proper way to do it.
Yeah, that wasn't the way to do it.
Yeah,
it wasn't safe for him or for Sowers. I think that's
right.
the
that's the other thing there. Too. That's the other thing too that I think a lot of people are not bringing up simply because it was on Michael Sowers, and rightfully so. You're going to talk about Michael because the concussion is rookie year and everything, but it's also not a safe play for Zach Tucci. Like you're rattling your brain around like that. Like that's very dumb. But there's a proper way to do it, and Zach Tucci did not go about it the proper way whatsoever. Both dangerous plays. If there's a dangerous play, video course that these players have to do, those two plays are probably going to be in there at some point, during their HR testing and everything. So
they're going to take a test next week, and they're going to say, look at these plays.
Yeah, look at these big dumb dipshits here.
Yeah.
Let's be a little smarter, boys, okay? Let's use a small sliver of the brain to just think things out. You know how back in the day they used to say, show your work, explain your answer? Let's show a little, mental intelligence here and be a little bit smarter. Let's keep you healthy for a full 10-game season. How about that? But luckily both Chris Cav and Michael Sowers are okay. Walked away from it relatively Chris has that week to kind of recover before a doubleheader in San Diego, but good to see Michael is okay from that because that could have been really bad. And as we always say, Deej, Cannons are never beating those allegations.
They're not. They're not.
They are never beating those allegations.
Like, why can't you just play nice? Why?
They probably watched the safety video and then they're like, we're doing all that. I know it says don't.
Yeah.
But we're doing that.
This is the game plan.
Yes.
Oh, man.
literally, it's just Holman sending out the safety video every week.
Uh-huh.
Like, all right, guys, new game plan for the week.
It's like the sign that says like the bags that you're not allowed to bring into a stadium, but it's just like all the things you're not allowed to do in a game. Brian just pulls that up and is like, this right here is what we're doing, boys. This is Cannon's Lacrosse.
So this is how we win games. This right here. We make people fear us.
This is how we play in Boston.
Man, he probably sent Tucci out there with no chest pad on purpose.
Show them you're a hard.
He's like, we're tough like that. We don't need chest pads.
We're hard bodies over here.
You've heard of dirty water? We're dirty plays. Oh man. But Saturday.
Dirty players. Dirty play. Boston Cannons.
Bring the boo.
Oh my way, we are totally kidding.
Oh, it's so
but
funny.
They do have very bad allegations that they seem to not be beating. But the subsequent jokes after are simply just jokes. Yeah, no, those allegations are not going away. The
simply
subsequent
parody,
jokes after
parody.
is just that. Jokes.
It's parody law. Parody law.
Right, we finna be next on the
Saturday. Yeah, they gonna cover. Luckily, we're not below 5'10".
Hey, I'm right at the 5'10". I just clear. I'm at one of those things where you got to be this tall to get on the ride, and I am right at the marker.
We are tall enough to avoid this ride. We are tall enough to avoid this ride. Saturday, though, did not disappoint in Philly as the New York Atlas, coming off their bye week, looked like they could not be stopped. Got out to a 5-0 lead after the first. They were up 7-1 at one point. And then the Maryland Whipsnakes shed their skin and went on a run of all runs, especially in the fourth quarter, and walked away with a 4-point victory, 16-12, over the New York Atlas to get their first win of the season. Matt Rambo did not start in this game for the Whipsnakes. Matt Brandow did. And, I mean, TJ Malone just put on a clinic. He took 11 shots in this game. Brad Smith took 7. Aiden Carroll took 5 shots. Colin Heacock loves playing against the New York Atlas. And this was a Jim Stagnita masterclass. And this was also something that we have seen from Mike Pressler's Atlas team more than once. Deej, the first thing that came to mind when this game came to a close was the tweeted this afternoon back in Columbus when the New York Atlas blew a huge lead against the Water Dogs, lost 19-18. This had similar vibes, except I feel like this was a much worse loss because the Whipsnakes are in such still like dysfunctional disarray on just lineup construction and roster makeup. Like that Water Dogs team went on to go to the championship and were 1 goal away from going back to back. This Whipsnakes team is still such an unknown commodity. To blow a lead like that when they were playing, they had more back-to-back goals in the first half than the Whipsnakes had goals in the first quarter. And it's just something that I have to now keep in the back of my mind that no Atlas lead is safe. Because we've seen this now on multiple occasions that the defense in particular,
I think the bigger thing for me, I'm not sure if this is worse than that other loss, because I'll have to say this. I don't think this year's Whipsnakes team is really that bad.
I agree.
You know, they lost by 4 to, give me just a second. I was just looking at it.
To the Water Dogs.
Yep, they lost by 4 to the Water Dogs. They lost by 1 to the Archers, and then they beat Atlas by 4. That's pretty solid, especially for you. You know, you're looking at how those teams are competing at the moment. That's good lacrosse. And I don't think the lead they had in this game was all that bad. What they gave up a couple years ago in Columbus was insane. Like, I actually think that's one of the worst comeback losses I've seen in lacrosse, like, ever. That's really bad. But I think it was a lot of the similar things where they couldn't find a way to get the momentum back. They couldn't find a way to change things up once Matt Dunn took Jeff Teat out of the game. They couldn't find a way to adjust to what was happening in front of them. And that's been a problem for Atlas this entire season. The 3 games they have played so far this year, they've had a very tough time adjusting. Even in the 1 game they won this year, they had a tough time adjusting to the things that were being done on the opposite end, and adjustment to what they were doing that was being successful. If they're going to get it together, Pressler and that coaching staff has to step up and make those adjustments. And what I will say is I will give them the benefit of the doubt is they may be making those adjustments in the huddle, which then turns it over to the players have to actually go out and implement those adjustments and execute them on the field so that they can come to fruition. So it is a 2-part thing. We don't know which part of that 2-part thing isn't working. And it very well could be both parts of that are not working. But that is where they have to address and look first, is making those adjustments. Because I think they have everybody on paper. I think they get off to really great starts. I think the first 2.5 quarters are really good for them. But once a team has that chance to sit down at halftime and then really settle in the second half and get those adjustments figured out, Atlas completely crumbles. You got to be able to play 4 quarters, not 2.5. That last quarter and a half is really killing Atlas at this moment in the season. If they can fix that, they're going to be right where I said they would be at the beginning of the season in the championship game. But as of right now, they're very far from that.
Yeah, I'd even argue it's not even 2.5 quarters. I'd argue it's just 2 quarters, because I'm not even sure how you go from. I mean, there was a point in time where like they had like 3 behind the back goals of their 6. Like they were just having fun, up 8-1, and then you go into halftime, you're only up 4, which is, it's still a good lead, but then to come out and you put up 3 goals in the second half, and you give up 9 in 1 quarter, like, and like you said, taking Jeff Teat out of the game, like, credit to Matt Dunn, obviously, but something's going on with Teat. With 2 games out of the first 3 that they played this year, and he only has 1 point in each of them. Like, this is, I don't think anyone was like expecting him to, have 60 plus points like he did last year, but like, they're not going to win very many games if Jeff Teat's just getting taken out because of 1 defender.
Yeah, I mean, the Whipsnakes outscored Atlas 11-3 in the second half. That's a Stags masterclass, first and foremost. That's a credit to Stags and Drew Snyder on that offensive side of the ball, just making things work and seeing those guys kind of cook. And the defense for the Whipsnakes showcased why Matt Dunn wound up winning Defensive Player of the Year last year. He eliminated Jeff Teat from this game. Like, they were like, yeah, sure, Xander Dixon, Schellenberger, Trainer, go do your thing. We're going to eliminate who a lot of people regard as one of, if not the best player right now offensively on the planet, and we'll make the rest of you guys beat us, because we know Tim Muller, Ajax, and the rest of our defense can kind of contain them to a degree, and then we just have to go out and make the opportunities on offense kind of fall for us. And TJ Malone did that down the stretch. Patra helped them do that down the stretch. Aiden Carroll did that down the stretch, and Colin Heacock had a hat trick in this game and was just unbelievable in his first action of the season. I'm wondering if it's something that's just not coming across too deep, because it is like the defense really fell apart for the Atlas in this one. And I know they didn't have Danny Logan in this game, which is a huge loss, obviously. And their short stick D-midi group, Pressler said they put it together with duct tape. But I'm wondering if it's just like a miscommunication in coaching because they do have a new defensive coordinator, that something's just not clicking for whatever reason. But, through 3 games, that's been a disappointing being left out on an island. Go ahead and save us, Liam. You're our only hope, because the defense, as the game progresses, they kind of just like fall apart, or they miss one assignment and it's like the domino effect for them. That's something that definitely has to be addressed moving forward for this Atlas team if they want to be successful. It's just cleaning up so much of the defensive miscues they've had early in the season.
I think the thing with that is the short stick D mid room. That's where that real problem comes in. Even at the beginning of the year, they didn't seem strong there, even with like their normal starting rotation of guys. It seemed like they came in banged up, didn't come in quite focused. Like they weren't the same short stick D-mid group they had been before. And as everybody knows, that's already the weakest part of your defense. That's already where everybody is aiming to attack. So when you don't have those starters there, when you have a guy like Danny Logan out, when you're rotating guys who have traditionally, or I shouldn't say traditionally, guys that have been mainly offensive guys for you, even through training camp and their time playing in games, moving them over to short stick D mid completely changes, their style of play and things like that. It's going to affect your game down the long run. So I think that's where they have to start, is really just addressing the short stick D mid play, whether you're going to get those guys back anytime soon, or if you're going to have to roll with who you have, making sure that they're playing at a top tier level and they're not either putting you in a situation where they're getting beat all the time and you're sliding and giving up easy goals, or they're getting beat all the time and you aren't sliding because that's your philosophy. And now they're still, getting basically 10-yard step downs on Liam Entenmann, and you're hoping he makes a save. So it's a 2-part thing where like the defense is in almost an impossible situation with their short stick D mids. They have to make a hard decision. Do I stay with my guy, my attackman, who's probably have a better shot than this mid, or do I give up a 10-yard step down, which just about anybody in the world could hit? It's hard for those defensemen. I sympathize with them. So the bigger thing is addressing the short stick D mid problem, however that is going to be handled. And then I think everything else wraps itself up from there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how New York kind of recovers a bit, because like we mentioned last week, like they've already had their homecoming, so they don't have any further opportunities for multiple games in a weekend to kind of like right the ship, very similar like what we mentioned with the Outlaws and some other teams upcoming, to like have that opportunity to gain ground. They're in last place in the East right now based on score differential, head to head, and just record overall. I don't think very many people, if any, after 3 games would have said that the New York Atlas would be in last place in the East going into Baltimore. I think a lot of people would have looked at you like you were, 12 heads and being like, what the hell is wrong with you? What kind of acid trip are you on? Because this team is locked and loaded, ready to go to win a championship. They got a lot of self-reflecting to do as they head into Baltimore, going up against a very hot Water Dogs team. I know they're coming off a loss in their last game, but the way the Water Dogs are playing and the way we've seen just their offense move, if the short stick D middies for the Atlas are not on their P's and Q's, that Water Dogs offense is going to make that defense pay, and it's going to be Liam Entenmann Island all over again. So definitely going to be an interesting matchup in Baltimore between those two teams. But shout out to the Whipsnakes. That's a hell of a win to kind of get your season back on track going into your homecoming. And now they have an opportunity to get to 500 if they sweep their homecoming, which is pretty damn crazy, where we were sitting last week talking about this Whip Snakes team versus now. And then the final game, congrats, Hoots. The Outlaws spoil the Water Dogs homecoming weekend. They win a dirty, dirty game, 9-7. A game where we saw 3 total scores in the second half. My summation of this game was the Water Dogs looked like a team that played the night before. The Outlaws looked rested, and I am just wondering why it took so long for McNaney to start. He looked fantastic. And I mean, the way that Pat Cavanaugh was just able to kind of have his way was concerning if you're a Water Dogs fan. If you're an Outlaws fan, it's like, holy shit, we finally cracked the code to unlock Pat Cavanaugh at the pro level. He was fantastic, and Jake Piscino just looks like a slam dunk all-star once again. Like last year, he was an all-star, but he looks like he's just taking his game to a whole new level, and it's probably because he got the OTB bump because he ran into DJ at the airport. So I'm blaming DJ for that one. But shout out to Piscino for popping off. But all 4 of the Tuaraton winners scored in this one, so we can finally say, oh, look, the offense worked. I mean, I'm sure Hoots 9 points isn't ideal.
A dub's a dub.
I mean, a dub is a dub, but it doesn't, like, I didn't walk away from this feeling good about it. Like,
I didn't say that.
But it's just like, it's cool to have the 1 in the win column, but like, it doesn't make me feel any better going into this weekend or the next weekend or the weekend after that. Like, I think the only real bright spot was Logan McNaney. And like you said, I'm not sure what took so long. I mean, to pop off the way he did, like, he should have been starting at very latest week 2, in my opinion. But and then as far as Pat Cav goes, like, it was awesome seeing him play well, obviously, but it took 51 touches out of him to get that performance. And if you look at like the spread of touches, it was very one-sided. So I would still like to see this team move the ball a little bit better. And as far as like all the Tuaraton scoring, like, that means absolutely nothing to me when Brandon had 1 goal, Logan had 1 goal, Jaron Bernhardt 1 goal. Like you said, nine goals is like, it's so frustrating because you have all the talent in the world and you're still having to rely on, 1 guy going off. Shout out to Jake Piscino for at least holding it down on both ends of the field. Like, I don't know what it's going to take to get some midfield production from this group, but something needs to change because they're honestly lucky that McNaney played as well as he did. Because even if McNaney led in, he had 14 saves and on 67%, like, if he plays any worse, they probably lose this game. And the fact that they're playing a team that was on a back-to-back honestly makes me feel even worse about this, just because it's like, what are you going to do when you play a team like the Water Dogs at their level, at full strength, at full health? Like, so it's a long rant, but I'm happy we got the win, but there's just way too much to clean up right now. That's not looking good moving forward in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Kenny Brower too. The lefty-on-lefty matchup against Brennan, he was phenomenal.
Insane.
Just a masterclass. He was unreal. And DJ, we didn't get a chance to talk about this because obviously our guy Rylan Reese got the start in this one. They bumped Marcus Hudgens out of the lineup for Ryland. I don't know if I agreed with that move per se. I know Jimmy Freehill's been playing great, and I guess you wanted to get a look at him at close D rather than LSM, but the way Marcus has been playing, I was kind of surprised that he was the one that got bumped from the lineup. Like, I kind of knew, like, when you see a homecoming weekend, the 2 guys that are on the protected roster, they're going to get circulated into the lineup one way or another. I was just kind of surprised that with the way Marcus Hudgens has been playing, they decided to bench him in this game in particular. I don't know. It was a weird move that who knows how it plays out if he does play, in the back-to-back against the Outlaws, but kind of a not like head-scratching move, but I was just kind of surprised.
I think it just came down to the fact that Hudgens has been playing LSM and Freehill has been playing close. They haven't really played Freehill up on the wing. And when you look at the two styles of play, Marcus Hudgens is far much more of a defensive uh, ground ball vacuum, make the right play, move it up the field, get off, versus Weyer, solid defensive guy, can and will pick up gritty ground balls and make all the right plays defensively, but will also push the offensive end. So I think it just came down to what kind of style of play they wanted to play. Knowing that you're playing Denver, you're going to want two guys that can push the issue because Denver is going to be doing the opposite. And I think that's where that decision came down to leaving Ben Weyer to tag up with Ryland Rees versus the opposite of leaving Marcus Hudgens to be with Ryland is just the style of play. I think a team like the Archers and maybe even the Redwoods, where you're getting tons of midfield production on the offensive end, you see a tag team tandem of Ryland and Marcus, so that they can have better defensive presence from that LSM versus the offensive presence they needed against Denver.
I also was not mad in the slightest in the way Matt DeLuca played. I thought Matt had one of his best games again, even in a loss. I know there's a couple shots he probably wishes he could have had back, but I thought he played phenomenal. And from the two games we've seen from him, I know Hoots, this might rub you the wrong way, but he is a friend of the show as well. But I feel like after you saw what Dylan Ward gave you, you see what Matt DeLuca has given you in two games. I just don't know how you cannot start Matt DeLuca full time.
That doesn't hurt me at all because I said the same thing. Because as much as I love Dylan Ward, and to his credit, having to play the Cannons as your first game, probably not the best situation for you. So it wouldn't shock me if we saw him play again next weekend or whatever, just to kind of get him more run. But I said it earlier this week. Like, I do wonder how much longer Dylan Ward has in the field game. And as far as at least playing, I'm sure he could be a backup for, infinite, whatever. But like you said, like DeLuca has looked incredible. The save that he had where he stuck his leg out and blocked the ball. I don't even know
That's
how
one
you
of the
make
best
that
kick
save.
saves I've ever seen.
Seriously. And to have 14 saves, like, and that's what I was saying. Like, if McNaney doesn't play as well as he did, like, that's a winning performance from DeLuca. Like, he should not be getting, given a loss for this performance. Like, he was incredible. So like you said, like, if I'm the Water Dogs, I'm starting him the rest of the way until he shows that, like, he can't stop the ball. But at this point, he's stopped, like, everything shot his way.
Yeah, and I mean, I look at it from the perspective, like, are we going to see Dylan Ward again this season? Probably. Like, of course. Like, that's just how a season works. But if the playoffs started today and you needed to pick a goalie for a playoff game, like win or go home, I'm picking Matt DeLuca right now just based off of how he's played. Like, the dude's got almost a 62% save percentage. He's got 29 saves on the year in 2 games, and his scores against average is 10.5. 10.5. Like, I know it's a little skewed because the Outlaws only scored 9, but, like, he only allowed 12 against the Whipsnakes, and he's just playing, like, he's taken his game to a whole new level so far to start the year. And obviously, Dylan Ward, friend of the program, Matt DeLuca, friend of the program. We love both of those guys. I just think DeLuca's giving them better looks overall and just a faster stick in cage to make it so that the Browers and Freehill and Hudgens and Ben Weyer and everybody else, on that defense, Ben Randall, like, the defensive guys' jobs are still there, but DeLuca is also cleaning up so much more on the back end that does, trickle by. I think if the playoffs started tomorrow, like, DeLuca's got to be your playoff goalie if you're the Water Dogs.
I think it's really just come down to a decision where he's decided, like, hey, I got to play my best ball because I have an opportunity to either A, win this spot here, or B, if I happen to lose this spot, if I'm playing well in the time I'm getting, somebody else is going to sign me. Free agency's up at some point, or, I can lobby for a trade at some point, or somebody's going to ask to come get me. But it looks like, Matt DeLuca is just taking an opportunity to, play his best ball when he's gotten the opportunity to do so, and hoping that something good comes out of it. He's totally okay with ending up being the backup, running the iPad and doing this thing and playing his part. But he knows that this is a great opportunity for him to not only get play time and enjoy it, but to springboard his career into something else.
Yeah, and I mean, Matt DeLuca is like in his prime. He's 27 years old. He signed through 2026. So that'll take him to his age 29 season, which at that point, he's still in his prime. We're talking about Dylan Ward, too, who is 34, 35, and still playing at a level where he can play professionally is impressive nonetheless. That's not the norm for every goalie in the PLL, in the NLL, whatever it may be. Not everybody's Matt Vince, but Matt DeLuca, this is an opportunity for him if he's able to take the reins on this, which I think all three of us, I speak for all of us, saying he's more than capable of doing. This is going to launch the next 6, 7, 8 years of his professional career being a starting goalie for what, Water Dogs fans are hoping to be for the Water Dogs for his entire career. But just in general, this could be the launch pad this season for Matt DeLuca, the starting goalie, rather than Matt DeLuca, the iPad holding backup goalie. And I think that's an opportunity, like you said, Deej, he's ready for. We've seen it in spurts, and I'm thrilled for him. He deserves it. He works his ass off to be ready every single week. And the way he's playing right now, all-star voting open this week, I think you'd be kidding yourself. If you look at the goalies in the Eastern Conference right now, yes, Liam Entenmann has played extremely well, but I mean, Matt DeLuca should be an all-star. Through the first couple of games that he has played, I think he deserves to get a nod to be an all-star this year. And we'll see if that continues in Baltimore against the New York Atlas, kind of going head-to-head in a goalie matchup against Liam. But at the end of the day, DeLuca's playing out of his mind. And I think on top of what Michael Sowers and Kieran McCardle and the rest of that Water Dogs offense have been able to do, Matt DeLuca playing the way he has been a huge part of the Water Dogs' early season success.
Hey, Triple D fan club is at an all-time high right now.
Yep.
All-time high. And if you don't know what the Triple D, Triple D fan club is.
Right now it's quadruple D. I'll give you the fourth one once you list off the three.
DeLuca, Delaware, and Deej.
And the fourth D is, damn it, I just bit my tongue.
Need to go see the damn dentist.
That's another 2 Ds there, so we got 6 Ds.
But the dude, I have been, as everybody knows, huge DeLuca stan. So the 2 games he's played in this year have been some of my favorites. And I'm just excited to see him get this opportunity and continue to play well. But I do believe he should be the starter moving. He should be like every other starter in the PLL right now, starting until you give him a reason to start someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Except for when they come
100%.
to Denver, then Wardo should play.
All right. Slow down. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
But going into Baltimore weekend, the standings, the Water Dogs lead 5 score differential. The Cannons right behind them at 2-1 with a +2 score differential. The Whipsnakes in third at 1-2 with a -1 score differential. New York Atlas, like we mentioned, in last place, 1-2 with a -6 score differential. They are the only team as well in the East that's surrendered 40 scores against, and they're the only team in the entire league that has surrendered 40 or more scores. In the West, the Redwoods up top, 2-1 with a +8 score differential, and everyone's probably like, guys, the Archers beat the Redwoods head-to-head. Why are they not in first? Score differential is the first tiebreaker. Archers right behind the Redwoods at 2-1. They have a +1 score differential. Outlaws in third at 1-2 with a -4. And the Carolina Chaos, who were idle this week, are 1-2 with a -5 score differential. Which brings us into Baltimore Weekend, one of my favorite weekends of the year. It's brought to you by our PLL app code. Guys, there's no better way to keep up to date with everything going on in the Premier Lacrosse League every single day, from PLL fantasy to trivia to just the weekly questions that get asked for what's going to happen, the week predictors, reading articles from all of the beat writers, press conference videos, behind the scenes looks, and so much more. Download the PLL app. We also confirmed this weekend, because we had intern Jacob download the PLL app. Our code still works. We weren't 100% sure if it did. It still does, so use that bad boy. And that's why we're talking about the app, because we have an app code in the PLL app. So download the app in the App Store, Google Play Store. And when you go to the redeem code section, type in OTBPOD. That's OTB pod. You'll get 500 XP on your account, which boosts you up to like level 3 right off the rip. So again, download the PLL app, use code OTB pod to get 500 XP on your account and keep up to date with everything going on in the Premier Lacrosse League with the PLL app. Baltimore Weekend is here. Deej, we had our live show, which was awesome. Hopefully we'll get to do one in Baltimore one year. That would be also incredibly sick. But Balti is here. It's going to be Whipsnake's homecoming weekend. And I mean, after last weekend, I think there's a lot of consistency with some teams, but I think there's also a lot of questions for the Atlas, for the Whipsnakes, the Outlaws, to a degree, the Archers, and obviously the Carolina Chaos coming off their bye. They'll get Owen Hiltz for the first time this weekend, so that's a boost to their offense. They'll get Shane Knobloch for the first time. That's another boost to their offense. But Deej, I'll start with you going into Baltimore Weekend. What are some of the things you're looking at as your Redwoods are on a bye before their homecoming weekend, and you kind of just get to kick back, relax, and watch it from an unbiased perspective of everything that's going to unfold in Baltimore? But what are some of the things you're looking at for this weekend to kind of unfold and get answered for you?
First off, I just want to say it's great to be on a bye week and not have to worry about a single thing that's happening this weekend. I get to just enjoy it for myself. That's the best part about this weekend. But I think we get real answers on New York and where their season is headed. I think that losing a third game, most importantly, if I'm not mistaken, let me check notes real fast. Yeah, that would be all 3 of their losses being in the Eastern Conference. Not a good vibe for them. So that's a big game for them. And then also, at that same token, it's a huge game for the Water Dogs, kind of continuing to separate themselves from the pack in that Eastern Conference and really solidifying themselves at the top with a 3-1 lead. And, Boston will be looking to catch up the very next day when they play Maryland. I think we get huge answers on Maryland this weekend as well. Them going 2-0 this weekend would really shake things up and completely change around, the entire Eastern Conference and how the league could shape out. Because then they're 3-2 if they were to go. Yeah, they would be 3-2 if they went 2-0. So they'd be back up front. They would be beating down, the door of the Water Dogs and Boston. So that's something to keep an eye on. And then Denver. I'm really watching Denver this weekend. If they're able to get a hold of Utah, then that shakes things up in the East or in the West and makes things interesting up there, because then it kind of forces California to definitely not go 0-2, but it almost kind of puts pressure on them to go 2-0 and kind of separate themselves. Because then right now they're 2-1, they go 2-0, that puts them at 4-1, while everybody else in the conference is sitting at 2-2 or worse. So there's a lot happening this week that have implications for the next few weeks. It's kind of weird to say in week 4 that playoff implications are already coming into play, but with a 10-week season, that's pretty much the case.
Yeah, we're almost at the halfway point of the season already, which is crazy to think about, but definitely agree with you on literally every front. There's a lot of questions to be answered there. Hoots, I'll kick it to you. What are you looking forward to? Obviously, your Outlaws playing, a big matchup against division rival. And like Deej mentioned, the Whipsnakes have 2 games this weekend. Chaos coming off their bye. New York looking to answer a lot of things, and the Water Dogs looking to, continue trending in the right direction as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly more excited just to see how Maryland kind of responds with 2 games, more than anything, just because I think they have a tough matchup Saturday against Boston, and then you go into a matchup on Sunday that I think, at least in my mind, really could go either way. I'm not totally sure what version of Carolina we're going to get, which is kind of scary, but at the same time, like, we saw Maryland put together just a masterclass of second half, and like, especially if they find a way to upset Boston, are they coming in? I don't know team has won that second night of a back-to-back yet, but like, are they feeling good? And then they come and beat a bad Carolina team. Like, so I'm interested to see how that plays out. And then as far as the Outlaws, like, I honestly think this will be kind of a low-scoring game. At least as of now, like, neither team has really shown that they can put up a bunch of goals over and over again in my mind. But that could change. I mean, especially if we see Mac O'Keefe really get going. I know he got his first one last week, so that is kind of scary for me, because if he starts going off and then, Connor Fields magically starts going off as well, like, that could be a pretty scary matchup there. So,
yeah, I mean, that first game on Saturday at 4:00, Atlas and Philly is a huge swing game in the East. Water Dogs win that one. They're sitting at 3-1, and they kind of get to kick back and watch Boston and Maryland just eat each other alive and just hope for the worst possible outcome for them in terms of like the overall score and gameplay. But if New York wins, they're kind of back on track to a degree and right back in the mix in the Eastern Conference. And then they're, record-wise tied with Philly. They'd both be at 2-2. So that's definitely a huge swing game. I mean, if the Water Dogs win that too, that puts New York at 1-3 going into California. That's not an ideal place for them to be. So I do think there's a whole hell of a lot more pressure on New York in that game, because they have to figure out so much more than what the Water Dogs have to figure out. Like, we all agreed, like, that second game against the Outlaws in their homecoming weekend was just like, that's a team that played 2 games. They looked tired. And, a couple bounces went McNaney's way to get a bunch of those saves in his debut. So there's a whole hell of a lot more that the Atlas have to figure out and answer for themselves in that game, where I feel like that takes a lot of pressure off the Water Dogs, and they can continue to just play freely like they have through the first 3 games of the year for the most part. Boston and Maryland can be a bloodbath. And I think one of the big things too, not that past performance matters all that much going into a game, but I did see the stat the Whipsnakes social accounts put out. They have the best record of any team in the league at Homewood Field since 2019 when the league came into fruition. So that's also, they play well in Maryland. The Whipsnakes find ways to win. They're 6-1, I believe, is the overall record that they have in games played at Homewood Field since 2019. So for whatever reason, Snakes alive in Maryland. That's something to definitely keep an eye on through their 2 games. But the Cannons are no easy, opponent. Like, that's an offense that can get going at any moment. And on top of, we haven't seen Mac O'Keefe get going yet. We haven't seen Asher Knowlton get going yet. He's been, for Asher Knowlton standards, he's been relatively quiet. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on. Who draws the Asher matchup? How do they want to play that to kind of neutralize him? How do they play Marcus? There's a lot of chess matches in that matchup in the nightcap on Saturday. And I think, like you said, Hoots, Utah, Denver, like, it's just the offense is trying to figure out their identities and trying to figure out, how can we be more productive and get goals to drop in the back of the net. And Carolina's the biggest wild card, coming off a bye. They're playing a team that's coming off of a game already. You're getting Owen Hiltz, who, sure, you have college tape on him, but you've never played him. You've never seen him play in the PLL before. Knoblauch's coming off of injury, so he's relatively healthy and ready to rock and roll. So that's another wrinkle for this Chaos offense that it's had its spurts. Like, Jackson Iker's been great. Charlon Beatties has looked great in this system. Like, there's a lot of nuance to Roy Colsey's offense that I'm excited to see it with these two parts installed into it. And like you said, Hoots, no team so far has won the back half of their homecoming weekend. And the Whipsnakes are coming off of playing a game the night before. So I'm excited to kind of see just the cinema that is this weekend in Baltimore. It's always one of the best weekends in terms of fan turnout. And just overall, just like feels like a big weekend year in and year out. Plus, for those of you that don't know, we'll have a social video coming out. That Outside the Box podcast logo that you see on podcast platforms, social icons, all that good stuff. That bad boy was created in the Johns Hopkins Homewood Field press box in 2019. So it's a special game for a special weekend for this podcast because it's part of our origin story, if you will. And the stars always seem to come out at Homewood Field. So I'm excited to see the eclectic guest list that we see at Homewood Field. I'm sure K18 is going to be in attendance, no doubt about it. But it's going to be a fun weekend. I'm looking forward to it. And I think without any further ado, before we get to our picks, I want to talk to you guys about our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. Guys, we had a PLL pro reach out to us. They wanted to rep us and asked if we had merch. And I said, you know what? We absolutely do. They've got merch coming to them that you might see them wearing in San Diego, California next week. And if you want to be like a PLL pro, if you want to be like DJ Hoots, myself, Hoots, it's your social profile. That shirt is stunning. The hoodies are amazing. Go to phiapparel.co if you want to rep Outside the Box and get official OTB merchandise. Stand out in the crowd with the official merch partner of OTB. When you fill up your cart, use code underground at checkout. You'll get 10% off your next merch order from our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. Again, that's code underground at phiapparel.co to get 10% off your next merch order. Stand out in the crowd, be like PLL pros, and rep your favorite lacrosse player's favorite lacrosse podcast, OTB, with the official merch partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia, PHI Apparel Company. But I think now, boys, we head on over to the pick pond, feed some ducks, and dish out what should be, I think, our most fascinating picks of the week for this PLL season. It is the PLL Baltimore Picks of the Week, brought to you by Kenwood Beer, the official beer partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's a refreshing light beer, just 4.1% ABV, 120 calories, just 8 grams of carbs. You guys can go to kenwoodbeer.com. Use the Kenny Finder to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in Maryland, Philadelphia, New Jersey, Delaware, and Pittsburgh, all in those areas. So if you're going to PLL Baltimore, check out who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Baltimore area, around Hopkins, around Homewood Field. You can also find Kenwood Beer at your local liquor stores in those markets. Again, that's kenwoodbeer.com. Must be 21 or older to do so. And of course, guys, as always, please drink responsibly. With the Homewood Field action, it is the New York Atlas and the Philadelphia Water Dogs on ESPN Maine ESPN action. Atlas, Water Dogs. Deej, I'll start with you. How do you see this opening game at Homewood Field playing out?
I think this will be a lot of fun. I think there's going to be a lot of action back and forth. I think the Atlas are slowly going to start to put the pieces together over there. We see, we know the firepower their offense has, and we know the capability of their defense and goalie. So it's only a matter of time before they wake up. We may see a little bit of that this weekend. But at the end of the day, the Water Dogs are simply just playing too good right now to choose against them. And who would I be to pick against DeLuca when I'm expecting him to start in this game? So I'm going to take the Water Dogs.
Hoots, who you got in this Eastern Conference showdown?
I'm taking Philly as well. I just think, like Deej said, they're just playing better lacrosse right now. Not that the Atlas won't put up a fight, but after their downfall last week, I don't really know how I can have any confidence in them. And I think Philly's defense, like I said earlier, having as many guys as they do that can be shut down guys, like it wouldn't shock me to see them shut down a guy like Jeff Teat again, unfortunately. So for that reason, I'm taking Philly.
As the old adage goes, boys, I think a poet once wrote, in the purple and black, give me the Water Dogs. Go Dogs. It's one of those things where, Deej, we've talked about this NLL season, PLL seasons. Until the Atlas give us a reason to truly feel confident in picking them, you can't pick them. And the way the Water Dogs have been playing, especially on the back end, in front of Matt DeLuca, in front of Dylan Ward, and then the offense, Michael Sowers is in the MVP discussion right now, hands down. Like we mentioned, he's on pace to shatter Jeff Teat's assist record. The way McConvey's playing, the way Kieran is playing, the way that Jack Hanna is playing, Jake Taylor's scoring highlight reel goals left and right. I got to go with the Water Dogs. Get the dub. And improve to 3-1 on the season. We move to the nightcap, 7 p.m. Eastern on Saturday on ESPN2. It's the Boston Cannons against the Maryland Whipsnakes. I know I mentioned the Whipsnakes have the best record of any PLL team at Homewood Field. The Cannons are coming off of a loss in a game where I feel like they felt they were in it and want to get back on track. They want to get back to their winning ways. If things go the way that we feel they will with the Water Dogs and Atlas, the Cannons are going to want to play catch up and keep pace with the Water Dogs in the East. I just think the Cannons offense has too much firepower against a Whipsnakes team that, outside of TJ Malone and Adam Patra on a consistent basis, and to a degree Aiden Carroll, what have they really shown you that they can do on a consistent level? And for that reason, I got to go with the Boston Cannons to get a dub.
Yeah, I'm going with Boston as well. I think their offense is playing at another level, and their defense is slowly catching up to that. But if you've been paying attention to the Cannons the last couple of years, their defense have had slow starts to the beginning of their seasons, and then they catch on and play very great lacrosse. And then obviously they're led by a great man in Brian Holman, who just believes in his team, believes in himself, and believes in just playing the game the right way, and the chips will fall the way they should. And it's hard to go against, Marcus Holman, and Asher Nolting still hasn't shown his best this year. He's been impactful. He's been, doing his part, but there's still so much more to Asher we haven't seen yet. There's a chance we see that this weekend. I have Boston taking the first of Maryland's 2 games this weekend.
And Brian's a Hopkins guy.
Yes, he is.
Hoots, what you got for this one?
I think that makes 3 of us then, because I'm taking Boston as well. I like what I saw from Maryland last week and like the fight that they showed. But it's a situation where they didn't show that same fight anywhere close to it the first 2 weeks. So I need to see it again before I can pick them.
We move to Sunday at noon on ABC. It is the Utah Archers and the Denver Outlaws in a Western Conference showdown. Hoots, I'll start with you. Your Outlaws looking for win number 2 against a heated rival in Utah. How do you see this one going down?
As much as I want to say the Outlaws will pull this one out, like I said last week, they have not shown me a reason to pick them. Even in the win, like we talked about, it was not impressive enough. And like I said, it does scare me that Mac O'Keefe will find a way to go off. And Connor Fields hasn't really been touching the ball a ton, and they're still winning games. So if those two guys kind of find a way to get going, I don't know if the Outlaws can really pull this out. But, maybe this is the week that they explode offensively. But for now, I'm going to go with Utah.
Deej, the floor is yours.
I picked Utah as well. I think the offense still has some things to figure out. There's still a lot that they're putting together over there. It seems like they're trying to find the best ways to get everyone in advantageous spots that work for them. Getting them. I mean, the easiest thing to set up is a Brennan O'Neill sweep dodge. They have that figured out. But, how do you get Pat Cav in the spot he wants to be in? JB10 being where he wants to be, getting Justin Anderson going. There's a lot of moving pieces that they're still figuring out on the offensive end. When you're playing a team like the Archers, Redwood showed it last week. You got to be ready to score because once they start scoring, they're not going to stop. And I don't know if the Outlaws will be able to keep up. So I'm going to take the Archers.
Yeah, for me, it's the consistency factor. And sure, the Archers offense hasn't gotten going yet, but their defense has been consistent even at less than 100%. Brett Dobson has been consistent. And I don't understand the lack of Logan Wisnauskas in this Outlaws offense. We saw him have moments, and it's like, why are we not feeding this guy more? Why are we not letting him get involved more? He's healthy. Let him be Logan Wisnauskas, and I think it can open up so many doors for the Outlaws if they do that, but they haven't shown us that they are willing to do that just yet. Brennan has been, shut down a little bit by some of his matchups. I want to see him get going on a more consistent basis before I can pick the Outlaws to win a game. They've been great in between, the goals. Pacino's been awesome. Their short sticks have been great like we thought they would be. It's just everything else around that hasn't been on the consistent level. So for that reason, I got to go with the Archers as well. And we'll see if we're straight sweeps in this last one. It is the Carolina Chaos and the Maryland Whip Snakes in the back half of the Whip Snakes homecoming weekend. I love the addition of Owen Hiltz. I love the addition of Knobloch to this offense, pairing them up with Charlon Beatties, with Jackson Eicher, with the way this Chaos defense has been playing, with the way Blaze has been playing. My biggest question in this one is going to be the face-off. Joe Nardella has been unbelievable. Really got the best of Trevor late in that game to help the Whip Snakes win against New York. Nick Rowlett has left a lot of meat on the bone to start the year. I need to see how that kind of shakes out. But looking at that being kind of my only question mark for Chaos right now, coming off a bye, getting some of the offensive weapons they've been missing, and the way their defense and Blaze has been playing, I think the Whip Snakes do a little Uno reverse of last year, and instead of sweeping their homecoming, they get swept. I'm taking Carolina to get their second win of the year.
I am on the opposite side of you. I think that Maryland will continue the trend of splitting your homecoming weekend, but they will do the opposite of everyone else, and they will win the back half of that set rather than winning the front half. I do think their offense has enough, and I think that they know what kind of position they'll be in if they happen to lose both of their home games. They know that's not something they can do. So I think even being tired, having played that game the night before, they're going to be up, have the energy, and ready to go, knowing that they can't really afford two losses in the same weekend.
Man, this is a tough decision, but I think I have to go with Carolina. Just getting Hiltz, getting Shane Knobloch back, I trust Blaze more than I trust any goalie in the league, week in and week out. No disrespect to anybody, of course, and I still just don't know what we're gonna get from Maryland. Like, it's granted, I don't know what we're gonna get from Carolina either. But coming off of a bye week, getting those two guys back, I'm gonna take the underdog here and go with Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we're still getting quotes from Stags talking about TJ Malone's really the only one, rightfully so, set in stone in their attack group, that should be concerning if you're a Whipsticks fan going into this weekend where you're playing two games that, you know, Rob Pinnell's leaving a lot of question marks, no pun intended, for Stags. Matt Brandau, Matt Rambo, Levi Anderson, like there's no fluidity and consistency to their offense if their name is not TJ Malone in that attack group so far. So that's just, it's mind-blowing that we're going to be 4 games into the season for the Whips and still don't really know what their attack group looks like full send. So that's why I'm also on Carolina, but it's going to be fascinating to see how this weekend shakes out. But those are the picks. We all have Philly winning against New York. We all have the Cannons beating the Whipsnakes in the nightcap on Saturday. We all have the Archers taking down the Outlaws. Hoots and I have Chaos. Deej has the Whips. And the California Redwoods are idle this weekend. And those are your PLL Baltimore picks of the week, brought to you by Kenwood Beer. I'm so excited. I love Baltimore Weekend. It's going to be so much fun. Looking forward to being there with everyone. Rosie's going to be in the building. It's a Rosie weekend. We also have another member of our Photography Avengers that's going to be on site with us. Very excited. Olivia Smoot on deck with us this weekend. Be sure to give her a follow on Instagram, smoot.oliviaphotography. She's going to be shooting all weekend for us. Very much looking forward to meeting Olivia and having her photos grace your timelines across the board. And big thank you to Miles for getting Olivia on our radar for this weekend. But that is all we've got for you guys. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, live show will be on the OTB channel, hopefully within the next week or so. Just working on the editing process of that, and then it'll be out on the OTB channel first, followed by the main Underground channel, and then on your podcast app of choice as well. Be sure to follow us on the socials at OTB LaxPod across the board. Follow DJ SCS_next great. No, what the fuck are we doing? AO, what the fucks this weekend, which will be hilarious. Maybe, depending on the picks.
Because the thing is, I can literally be flabbergasted at anything this weekend because it has nothing to do with my team.
What if you just like go into this weekend full send thinking that the Redwoods play? Game 1 kicks off. You just tweet, "Ayo, what the fuck? Why are the Redwoods not playing this weekend?"
The people would be like, "Is you cool, bro?"
Yo, you not check the sketch? No, I hate when my team doesn't play.
Somebody gets it. I hate when they don't play. Hey, but what I do want to say is, I think the Redwoods got the cheat code in the perfect bye week.
Oh yeah, they made out like bandits
because you get the bye week before you play your doubleheader, and then you get the built-in bye week of All-Star Weekend the very next week. Perfect.
So clutch. But follow Deej at SCS_next great. Follow Hoots at Hoots Sports Media. Follow me at KBIZZL311. One other thing too, if you or someone you know knows a photographer in the Chicago area, slide in our DMs. We are looking for a photographer for Chicago Weekend.
I'll be there.
Deej will be there holding it down, but we are also looking for a photographer to accompany him. So if you or someone you know a photographer in the Chicago area, hit us up on Instagram, and slide in our DMs. We would love to have you on board with us because a little birdie told me Chicago weekend is going to be extra fuego this year. Be sure to subscribe to the pod. Once again, subscribe to the pod, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave us a 5-star review and subscribe to the YouTube channels, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia and youtube.com/@OTBLaxPod. And this show, guys, like we mentioned at the top, is proudly presented by our friends at Rita's in Sewell. All season long. Be sure to check them out at 288 Egg Harbor Road in Sewell, New Jersey. They are truly the best. Cool down all summer long with the most delicious treats on the planet, from the Italian ice, the gelatis, the blendini. To check out all of their flavors that they have on deck, plus all the nutritional facts that you may need. Are available at ritasice.com. And we thank Rita's in Sewell for being a proud partner of the podcast. And this has been episode number 380 of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA, number 11 Philadelphia ranked, and of course viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Hoots, for Deej, I'm KB. Also, big shout out to Paul Rabel and Vanessa Kirby. Officially announced that they are expecting baby number 1. As Paul put it, mom's a superhero. So congratulations to Paul and Vanessa. But I'll see you guys in Baltimore. I will be there this weekend. So if you're there, come say what's up. Would love to chop it up with you guys. And we will be right back here next week, breaking down Baltimore weekend, gearing up for Lacrosse After Dark on the East Coast, because it'll be California weekend out in San Diego as the Redwoods take on their homecoming weekend next week. We'll see you all then. But until then, we're getting the heck up out of here. Peace.
Bye.